My freshman year, I had a bunch of different business ideas that I started. All of them failed, as they should have, right? Because I was a young freshman year, in college. But the point is I was able to advocate for them. I was able to go to a CEO at a restaurant in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and be like, can I do your marketing for you? And he was so impressed that I came to the front desk and I said, let me talk to the CEO, that he invited me to the back of his room and we had an hour-long conversation and he let me do marketing for a $2 million per year restaurant in college for a couple of months. Right? Like, and those were the experiences that really enriched my life and got me to think like, oh, if I recognize that I'm going to die and that I need to do something while I have this finite amount of time, then I'm going to already feel more compelled to get my point across and see if I can make more opportunities open for myself before I just believe in what everyone else tells me and go get a job or an internship because it makes their numbers look good. So I think you have to recognize you're going to die. I think you have to then ask yourself, what do I want to do before I die? And then be so compelled by the urgency and the necessity and the inevitability of death that you start making opportunities for yourself happen, which is where I think the transferable skills actually transferred, not just because I had the skills, but because I was motivated by the fact that one day I'm not going to be able to use those skills.
Wow. I will have to say, I am one of those people who think that way as well. Not the latter, but think as you. About like, there is going to, like, I cannot conceptualize the fact that this is going to end one day. Like me and you talking or me going, you know, to my kitchen to make some iced tea is not going to work. It's not going to be a thing. I can't even fathom that idea. But I think on the flip side for myself, I think that's what makes me so deeply invested in the storytelling that is life, right? Because I'm so interested in what is happening in the in-between, the good, bad, the ugly, that I don't know, it's fascinating.
And this is the real beauty of debate, not to cut you off, but the communication that we have before we die, I think that is the only variable that makes this life meaningful. I mean, this is why people say creativity and art is what gives life purpose. It's like, they're absolutely correct. Like, you need to know how to engineer their airplane. But if you don't have the vision for the fact that something can fly in the sky, it doesn't matter. And if we are not communicating in our lives ultimately go down a path where they can become worthless. Now, communication is very subjective. People can communicate through playing basketball. People communicate through painting. Debate is so cool because most people aren't talented in basketball or painting or singing, but everyone can speak, or at least the majority of people have a voice, right? So debate is a universal equalizer in terms of offering people a form of creative communication if you believe that this power of spoken word is creative enough to be able to communicate. And it is, because we've had orators over the course of, you know, thousands of years that have been able to use their voice to do some amazing things. And we've also had them to be able to do some bad things. Hitler once said that the greatest thing that he had, the greatest power that he had was not his pen, but was his microphone, right? The power of voice is able to do so many monumental things, good or bad. And debate, I think, is an equalizer because it teaches the skills for everyone to be able to use it in hopefully a good way.
Yes. So speaking of debate and politics, right? How do you manage mixing your your political beliefs, this, I mean, because obviously, students do watch this. So how do you manage mixing your political beliefs and or your orientations with your things that you identify as yourself with your career? And is it wise, in your philosophy, is it wise to keep them separate, or do you feel like you may be betraying a part of yourself when you don't mention your beliefs or your ideas or ideologies, however you
Yeah, I
see
mean,
fit?
I think one of the quotes I heard before, I'm forgetting who exactly said it, but it's that saying that you are not political is a political statement, right? The idea that
Yes.
detaching yourself from politics and being like, I'm apolitical, I don't believe in the Democrats. It's like, no, shut up. Like, you obviously have an opinion. You're just too afraid to say it. I've done a lot of research on entrepreneurs, and the reason a lot of the big ones that are the multi-billionaires, right, and they don't disclose their political beliefs is because they have money on the line, right? And I understand that. It's like, if you say this, you're going to alienate some people and you're going to lose some money. To me, at the end of the day, I'm not chasing money. I am chasing my mortality, and I can't imagine being dead or on the deathbed at 80 years old, if I ever get there, thinking like, wow, I never told people that I supported like higher taxes because I was afraid of what they would think of me or stuff like that. Like, and maybe it's easy to say right now without a multi-billion-dollar company. Maybe that'll be different as time changes. But no, I don't think you can separate politics from what you believe, man. And the people that I've been coaching the past few years, they've known my political beliefs. Like, the kids that I coached, they knew that I was not a fan of Donald Trump. I thought this guy was a racist egomaniac, right? Now, I don't think Joe Biden is the best guy either. I think there's a lot of flaws with him, but I can differentiate between candidates. And I think my kids knew that. And whether they agreed or disagreed, I always helped give them those beliefs, not in a way that imposed those on them, but in a way that allowed them to think about the perspective of how I considered particular political figures, and I always warranted those responses, right? It was never like, oh, if you support this person, like, I'm never talking. Like, I think that's kind of silly. Like, that leads to the polarized discourse that we have. But it's giving well-warranted reasons, and I always gave well-warranted reasons to the kids I coached. I helped them understand the argumentation, because debate, all the topics we have ultimately become political. Like, you have to talk about Trump, you have to talk about Biden, you have to talk about geopolitical foreign relations. So you need to know about politics, and by knowing and researching about politics, you start developing a political ideology, which is good, because so many Americans don't have it. Like, I was watching the debates last night. They were polling some Ohio people, and they're like, yeah, I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet. And I'm like, are y'all crazy? Y'all are waiting for the debates to this, like, 1 month from the election, and now the debates are going to be the deciding factor. Like, obviously you guys don't do any research because you don't care that much about politics, or you're super ignorant to it, and whatever it is, but you have to start developing those belief systems. I have changed some of my political beliefs, though. When I was in high school, I was a communist. And when I got out of high school and I got out of college, I started embracing capitalism a little bit more. And the reason for it is I think I took a lot more classes and understandings of economics, and you start shifting your beliefs. Now, I believe that capitalism is more ethical than I did when I was in high school. However, I do think there's a lot of problems with it. I would have voted for Bernie Sanders because I believe in the regulations and the reforms that he believes for an economic system that is due for an update. But I fundamentally disagree with just getting rid of individuals' abilities to start their own companies and letting the state control the means of production like you have in places like China and North Korea. Like, that doesn't make that much sense to me. So my political beliefs definitely have changed, and I think I can warrant the reason why they changed, but I don't think I should not speak on those political beliefs, because I think that does leave a part of your identity out.
Now, a lot of this material, political material, can definitely be emotionally triggering, if you will. And while debating, most people can barely get, 2 sentences out if they disagree. So what are some methods you have personally used to manage your emotions when you're debating topics that you're really passionate about, that may have something, that may just, trigger you in a way that you need to, I guess, curb?
I think I was definitely a very emotional debater, but I used emotion as a crutch sometimes. Sometimes I would get louder, and that's not the most effective debate tactic, but it definitely works sometimes. But I would let my emotions get the best of me. Not because I was really triggered or anything, but just because I thought that the argument could make more sense voice sometimes. A lot of times I realized that the best way to emotionally deal with something that is something you fundamentally disagree with, someone said something, like someone says they don't believe in abortion, and let's say you're pro-choice and you absolutely believe in abortion. it's not productive to start yelling at that person and screaming to them that you hate women or you hate reproductive justice, because you're not going to get them to come to the other side. And the first thing is you have to recognize that you're already probably never going to get that person who fundamentally disagrees with abortion to come to your side. This is simply a question of edging the needle a little bit and getting them to just see the perspective, so that when the debate does come up in the media or when they are reading articles, they have a little bit more of an open perspective, because no human, I think, can fundamentally change any other human. That's why these debates for the presidential debates are kind of useless, because no one's really going to change their mind. It's just kind of theater. So to me, it's about making the well-warranted argument. It's about, okay, you're pro-life, I'm pro-choice. We're going to put our emotions outside of it the best that we can, and we're going to compare the arguments. You believe in pro-life because you think that birth starts as soon as the sperm touch the eggs. You believe in pro-choice because you believe that bodily autonomy matters more. So now we have two conflicting ideological viewpoints. One is about bodily autonomy. The other one is about science and when does a life start. And if we can't murder someone when they're 25, why would we murder someone when the sperm touches the egg? Because that's still a life. Now, how do I compare and weigh between bodily autonomy and science? There has to be a mechanism of engagement that facilitates an effective form of disagreement, and that facilitates an ability to compare and do comparative analysis between the reasons why this matters and the reasons why this matters. And that stuff is really taught in formal debate and argumentation. But to me, it's about making the best argument you have and throwing it at the other person and seeing what they can get back. And if they can't give you a well-warranted argument, then at that point you kind of want to walk away, or just don't let your emotions get the best of you, because you already know they don't know how to respond. And if they don't know how to respond, that should be a win enough for you, right? Because again, too many people think through Twitter that they're going to change these. You're not doing that through 140 characters, right? We are not changing people's minds. The best we can do is put out a good argument and see if we can coalesce as many people to believe in that argument as possible. But that has to happen through making a warranted argument.
Now, do you think it is possible? Let me take it back. Do you think, or do you have any recommendations if it was flipped, right? If you were, but you have to argue the opposite of that. Do you have any tips on that?
Do I have any tips if someone's pro-choice and they have to debate someone who's pro-life?
Well, if they're pro-choice, yeah. If they're pro-choice, but they have to debate as being anti-choice.
So you're basically asking me, let's say the topic was abortion good or bad, and you have to decide for whatever reason and defend it. Yeah, I think the framework you have to use is recognize that there is always another side, and hopefully the topic is good enough for there to be multiple perspectives. I actually started a podcast with a friend called The Other Side, and what we do is we debate over things that have different perspectives. If you're, I don't think abortion is a good side to debate because it's so polarizing and it's really hard to see the other side. You can see the perspectives, but having a debate about it isn't the best. But a topic like should the United States force employers to pay a $15 living wage? That's a really good topic, because now I can see one side that says, well, that would eliminate poverty because you're getting more money per hour and you're getting a more fair, ethical fee for your time. But the other side says, well, small business owners can't afford to pay $15 an hour, so they're gonna have to lay off some people. So it was better they had 5 employees at $7 an hour. Now they have 3 employees at 15. 2 people lost their job. That is a bad thing, and we can talk about those impacts. So I think it's about recognizing what is the valid research that solidifies one side of a topic and another side of a topic, which means you have to actually do research. You have to actually be creative enough to think of an argument and then see if the world potentially agrees, if history potentially agrees or disagrees with your argument, and come to a conclusion. But for pro-choice, anti-choice, it's a question of just trying to understand the best political figures on each of those sides, whether they're religious or sociological, whatever it may be. And then hopefully that debate becomes a good form of discourse. But when it's that polarizing, it's kind of hard to have that debate.
Got it. So tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
Yeah, so this is that 2 Newark Debater alumni have started, myself and David Asafu Adaje. I'm definitely saying his name wrong. But David and I started this. David graduated science in 2017. I graduated in 2016. And yeah, we had this idea in June. We were like, yo, I had the idea in June. I was like, I kind of want to start a podcast. I want to have a platform where I could speak a little bit more. As before this podcast, and it's not that they failed, it's just that I recognized that there wasn't anything differentiating those podcasts from the other millions of podcasts that exist. So I kind of wanted to do something unique and a little bit outside of the box, and I thought, what about a podcast where David and I who is also a former really, really good, passionate debater, have discussions over unique topics like, is binging content good for you? Or do you need friends to live a meaningful life? Or should we have a universal basic income? And we have a full structured debate out of that. And we turned it into a YouTube show and a podcast. And I pitched him the idea in mid-June. He agreed to it. And then from July till August, we spent every day in a basement recording and working on our craft and figuring out our chemistry. And it's been a really, really, really fun process. Today's September 30th. We actually are doing something for the whole month of October. We're putting out a new episode a day. So we've spent the last month recording 30 new episodes. And it's been a lot of work, but we're really excited to build up the audience and see what happens. So yeah, it hopefully it goes somewhere, but we're enjoying building it right now.
Wow. I couldn't even imagine putting out content once a day. Like what? And you're using multiple platforms to do so? Like that is a push.
TikTok,
that's a huge
Facebook,
push.
Instagram, and the reason we're doing it is because of the reaction you just had, right? I want people, when they see us put up new episode today, new episode today, new episode today, I want them to be like, damn, I don't even care if I like these guys' stuff, but they're dedicated, right? And that's the respect I want from people. Just be like, hey, look, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but you know that we're waking up and we're pouring that cup every day. And consistency is the name of the game when it comes to content and when it comes to anything, right? So if we want to succeed in content and we want to build a brand and an audience for ourselves, we have to show the world that we're not playing around, right? We're actually in it to do this. The month of September, I believe we released 12 episodes. So October, we're doing 31. So it'll be fun.
Wow. Okay. Dope. So, well, obviously you did say you work on multiple projects at a time. You have your hat in a lot of rings. So, I mean, a lot of areas, excuse me. I mean, your hands in a lot of areas. What am I talking about? So entrepreneurship, what is that to you in this, I guess, in this moment of your life? What does entrepreneurship mean to you?
So I don't think I'm a natural born entrepreneur. I was not selling lemonade at 5 years old and stuff. I was never trying to find the quick buck. I got into entrepreneurship in college because I just recognized, we were going to conferences and people were like, oh, you can join this bank and, you'll work, 80 hours a week and you'll get the 6-figure salary. And I was just like, yeah, but what's the purpose of that, right? What's the point? The salary looked cool. The hours per week didn't look that cool. But ultimately I was just like, you wear a suit every day and you go into New York City and what do you get out of that? And again, this is the big thing that people need to recognize if they're listening to. I don't care if you're in college or not, but especially if you're in college, if you realize you're going to die, it is much more important to ask yourself these questions about what is the purpose and meaning of the thing that these institutions are feeding you, why are they feeding you that stuff, and then coming to your own conclusion. So entrepreneurship was freedom for me. It was wait, I can build something and monetize that, maybe not become the next Jeff Bezos, but enough to survive, enough to have a little bit of luxury, and also build something that's meaningful. So when I got that, it was kind of like Inception, right? In 2017, when that idea that you could work really hard and make money and you could enjoy what you're doing. Something that I think less than 1% of the world does. And again, not because it's their fault, because the world is absurd and it's very difficult to make money, sustain your livelihood, which is something you got to do, and enjoy what you're doing every day. So that's what I think. That's also another answer to your argument about why I was coaching so many kids in debate and stuff. It was because I like doing it and I was making money off of it. And I saw that I was progressing and that this was a form of entrepreneurship to me. The fact that I could make money on the side and do something that I like to do and actually get paid well for it. And that's what, and since 9th grade, ever since I started doing that, every year it's just been more and more and more, trying more and more different things, failing at more and more different things, ultimately to the point of my senior year where I was like, I can't go from being as creative and entrepreneurial as I was from 18 to 22 to go working at JP Morgan Chase at some bank doing ridiculous financial analysis that I don't care about at 23. That would be going backwards in life. So if that's going backwards, then you have to really put in the mental effort to figure out how can I get forward from this. And I'm not saying getting a job is going backwards, but it's more so just if I'm already in the mindset that I know I don't want to do that, why am I wasting time doing that if I know that my time is limited? So the podcast right now is really special for me because we think there is a opportunity in the next coming years to not only make some money off of it and monetize it, which is a goal, but to really build something unique out of it. And entrepreneurship to me right now is how can I build things that are valuable, and valuable sometimes is determined through profit because that means people are willing to pay for a product or service, but also is something that that when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited to open up my laptop and edit the 30 episodes I have to edit to publish in October. To just say for the hell of it, we're going to upload 30 episodes. We're not making a single penny off those 30 episodes. We're going to put in probably 30 times 3 hours per episode, 90 hours of work in making, distributing, and marketing the material. No ROI, no return on investment, but it seems cool, and it seems like there's going to be a chance in the future for this to pay off. That wakes me up in the morning. And some people wake up in the morning because they get to go to a job where they have a 6-figure salary. For me, it's like I can avoid the salary right now if you give me some time to do what I love and give me the dedication and the hours to just keep putting in the work. And then hopefully in the future, it turns into something that can make money, and it's something that I really love.
Wow. So do you have any like mentors right now at this point, or are there folks that that you follow that inspire you at this moment?
So one of my main mentors I have, his name's Anthony Berryhill. He's a former debater as well. He is a guy in Texas right now. He lives in Austin, Texas. He's an awesome guy. I met him at a debate camp 3 years ago, and he's been helping me just understand entrepreneurship a little bit more. But he really helped me, not even with entrepreneurship, but really, I had a big fear over what people thought about me when it came to posting content online. And I knew I always wanted to post content because I knew I have a personality where I can speak and I can influence and I can have something to say. But I wasn't posting content for a good 2 years because I was really afraid of what people would think. Like 2 years ago, if you asked me to do this interview, I would not be able to do it because I would be so afraid of what other people would think when they see me do this interview, how my hair looks, what I'm saying, all that stuff. He really got me to realize that those people just don't matter at the end of the day. And the mortality thing comes, he's like, if you're gonna die, if you're so motivated by mortality, why are you worrying about these people? So he's really helped me with that, like life coaching and stuff like that to get over that fear. And now, we're doing an episode a day. I don't care how my hair looks. I'm just like, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. More, and we'll figure it out eventually as it goes. So he's one of my big mentors. My mom is a big mentor. My mom is just like, my mom doesn't even know what I'm doing throughout the day, right? Because she has her own life. She's busy. She doesn't have time to keep up with me. But she's like, I believe in you. I trust in you. And as for the son of an immigrant parent who literally, risked their whole life, came from nothing, for them to be like, yeah, we know you're not getting a job. We know you're not going to safe route, but we trust that you're going to figure it out. Like that's insane. I was with them the other day in the living room, me and my mom, my dad, and my dad was mentioning like a plan B, right? He was like, if this doesn't work out, and he mentioned it in a really nice way. It was not being hostile or he was just like, if this stuff doesn't work out, you're trying to do the podcast, all stuff. I have this other option. You want to look into those other businesses. And I was listening to him because I'm also not naive. I'm like, it might not work. It's a good thing to listen to. And my mom, she turned around. She's like, no, we're not doing that. There is no plan B. It's like, he said he wants to do this, so he's going to do this. And we're going to give him a couple years to figure it out.
Wow.
And that's crazy, right? Because you would think, your parents that want you to be safe and want you to be, want you to be healthy, all that stuff, they would be the last people to be like, no, there is no plan B. Like, he said he's going to do this, so I believe in him enough, and he better figure it out. Now, that put a lot of pressure on me because I'm like, oh, shoot, I really got to do this. My mom believes in me now. But it was also it was rewarding because I was like, damn, like someone really believes in me even more than I believe in myself. And I think that's just a big motivator to like just keep going, to like keep doing it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I understand. I have 2 degrees in theater, so I totally get what you're saying. But I think like you, I was blessed to have parents who always were down for whatever was going on. So tell us, are you currently reading anything?
So I have not read a book since May of this year. Now, I say that having read 30 books in the summer of 2018. The summer of 2018 was when I really started going through this existential crisis, so I started reading a lot of self-help, personal development, stuff like that. But currently, I am not reading a book. I wanted to start a philosophy text the other day. It was called The Plague by Albert Camus. And basically, Albert Camus is an absurdist philosopher who says everything is absurd, things happen for no reason. And he wrote about the plague in the 1940s, which is eerily similar to this COVID stuff. Because his argument was like, if a disease happens and kills a bunch of people out of nowhere, what would you do? Who would you blame? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna blame Trump? Really? You're gonna like, who are you? You're gonna blame China? Who are you gonna blame? And now in the COVID thing, all of us are like, yeah, who do we blame? It's just absurd. We have no way to handle it. I have not read that book yet, but yeah, that's a book that I read.
So before we leave, is there anything else you think is important for young debaters here still in Newark that you want them to know?
Yeah, the number one thing is understand that you have a voice, and debate is there to be able to actually get your voice to say things that are meaningful enough to get other people to care. Your voice doesn't matter until you get other people to care about what you have to say. And that's just the harsh truth. You know, if someone tells you you have a voice, it matters. It's like, not if you're saying stuff and no one's listening. Like, who are you talking to? Yourself? The wall? Talking to yourself is great. Talking to the wall is awesome, but the wall isn't giving you a job. The wall isn't giving you opportunities. You have to get other people, because we're social creatures in a collectivist society, to care about what you have to say. Debate is a training ground that you should not take for granted. Even if you're doing other things, try to really understand that you may not be the best basketball player in the world, but you have a very solid chance of being one of the best debaters in the world. Because basketball is like height and physical stuff. Debate is your mental capacity, and no one can take away your mental capacity. It is solely contingent upon how many hours you put into it. It is just hard work. It is not talent. Speaking is not talent. It is experiential. Your singing may be talented, but speaking and getting people to believe in something is just about experience and repetition and consistency and putting in the work. And this is the one thing in my life I've went from nothing to something. You know, I was a trash debater, and in a matter of a year and a half, I became one of the best debaters in the country. So I think I'm just qualified to be able to say, like, if you eat, sleep, and breathe the activity you're in, whether it's debate or not, but if it's in debate, if you're in the Debate Academy in Newark, recognize that you can dedicate the world to it, and you can become a communicator when you get out of it. That maybe you don't get a scholarship to the best college, maybe you didn't like do that amazing in debate, but if you have the skills of persuasion and influence, you can legitimately change the world and start to go on a journey to think for yourself for how you're going to use that voice to change the world, which is the journey that I'm on right now. So keep debating and keep trying to figure out how to find that voice and use that voice for something meaningful.
Awesome. And can you please tell people where they could like, subscribe, follow, support you and your work? Because we will be posting the links below.
Awesome. Yeah. Amit Kukreja on YouTube, AMIT KUKREJA. The Other Side on YouTube, just The Other Side. You guys can subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also on Instagram. If you go to our YouTube, you'll find all of our Instagram handles there. And yeah, it'd be awesome if anyone watching this could subscribe, because we'd love the support. And if you do, you will get a new episode every day for the month of October. So that'd be pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, Amit, unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. But before we go, we are going to play a quick game. This game is called This or That. I mean, it's pretty simple. I will give a series of 2 options, and you will have to quickly tell us which you actually prefer and one straightforward reason why. We know as a debater, you can argue for any side, but this is a fun way for our viewers to get our viewers to like get to know you a little bit more. Even though I think we've gotten really good to know you, but we just want to see how you feel about these, random things. Okay. All right, you ready? Awesome. Apples or oranges?
Probably oranges.
Why?
Apples are like crunchy. Oranges are like sweet, and they kind of like melt in your mouth. So, and I like orange juice. So.
Got you. Netflix Definitely or Hulu?
Netflix. Hulu still has ads, but even if it doesn't have ads, I think Netflix just has a lot better movies.
True. Instagram or Twitter?
I've been using Twitter a lot more. I think it's better for communication, but Instagram, the pictures, like we're visual people. We want to see pictures, so Instagram.
Video games or board games?
I've never been a fan of video games. I think people need to stop playing video games that much. I don't know how much they get you in life. But board games with family is like kind of fun. So board games.
Chicken or steak?
For sure. I just eat more chicken than steak.
Movies or shows?
I don't know about this one. I would say shows, just because they're longer, so you have something to keep you entertained and emotionally attached to throughout the course of your life. Movies end in like 2 hours, but a 2-hour movie can be a lot more impactful sometimes than a 9-season show. But I would pick show on this
one. Okay, so books or movies?
Okay, so like obviously movies are more fun to watch, but I would pick books because I did read 30. I'm not lying about this. In the summer of 2018, I read 30 books, and it was a transformational experience. It was really important to read that stuff. So obviously books over movies.
And last but not least, rap.
I'm a hip hop guy. I've been into rap my whole life. So I like R&B. I listen to it, but rap is a little bit more what I care about.
Dope. Well, like I said, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. But thank you so much, Amit, for taking the time to share your knowledge and expertise here with us at the Newark Debater. And I want to thank all of our viewers at home who are watching this. Thank you for being with us, even though we are doing our own thing during the pandemic on Zoom. But thank you so much, and check us out again on the next episode of the North Debater.
I appreciate it.
Deuces, y'all.